Hey everyone, I'm really glad you're here today, and I hope you're doing all right. Something pretty significant just unfolded in the world of Social Security and disability benefits, and a lot of people still haven't heard the full story. The Trump administration has officially backed away from a major policy shift, one that could have completely changed the way older workers qualify for disability programs. And the effects would have been massive, genuinely life-altering for hundreds of thousands of people. What's even more surprising is the reason this plan was dropped and what it signals for the future. There's a twist in all of this that most people haven't heard yet, and we'll get to that in a bit. So, stick with me because knowing how this works can really help you protect yourself and the people you care about. Before we dive in, let me ask you something straightforward. Do you think disability benefits should take age into consideration or not? Just your personal opinion. No right or wrong answer. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to see where everyone stands. All right, let's break down what actually happened. This whole situation started quietly. Behind the scenes, the Social Security Administration had been working on a new rule that would have fundamentally changed how disability claims are evaluated. And I mean changed in a way that would fall especially hard on older workers. The idea was to reduce or even eliminate the role age plays when deciding whether someone qualifies for SSDI or SSI. If you've ever heard someone say once you hit 50 or 55, it's harder to retrain or switch careers, that's exactly the protection this rule was targeting. Age matters because the system acknowledges what most of us already know from real life. When you've spent decades doing physically demanding work, construction, caregiving, manufacturing, mining, and your body finally gives out, jumping into a completely different kind of job isn't simple. It's not just learning new skills. It's whether your health, stamina, and cognitive ability can realistically keep up. That's why for decades, age has been part of the disability formula. Removing it would have changed everything. Here's where it gets more interesting. This wasn't a brand new idea. Versions of this proposal have been floating around since Trump's earlier term, and it kept resurfacing inside government discussions. The administration's argument was that the disability system needed to be modernized, made more efficient, and aligned with updated job data. And to be fair, part of that argument is valid. The job listings Social Security currently uses are extremely outdated. Some still include roles like nut sorter or telephone quotation clerk, jobs that basically don't exist anymore. The government spent roughly $350 million working with the Bureau of Labor Statistics to modernize these listings. So on paper, updating things sounds reasonable, but that's where the controversy kicked in. Officials, including people like Russell Vought from the Office of Management and Budget, pushed the idea that people are living longer. Jobs today are less physical, and older Americans could transition into sedentary work like office positions, customer service roles, or even gig work like Uber or DoorDash. And yes, that might apply to a small group. But for most people dealing with chronic pain, mobility limitations, nerve damage, heart issues, or disabilities that limit stamina, that's simply not realistic, and many Americans don't have access to those kinds of jobs, especially people in rural communities or those without reliable transportation. So when word leaked in October 2025, the reaction was immediate and emotional. Disability advocates were outraged, lawmakers were stunned, regular people felt blindsided. More than 160 Democratic members of Congress sent a letter urging Social Security to stop the proposal. Analysts ran the projections and the numbers were alarming. Close to 750,000 people could lose disability benefits over the next decade. Around 80,000 widows, widowers, and children could lose benefits tied to another worker's record. This wasn't a minor adjustment. This was people losing rent money, losing access to medications, losing Medicare before age 65. The Urban Institute estimated that older workers could see eligibility drop by up to 30%. Imagine 1/3 of people suddenly being told, you don't qualify anymore. And disability benefits aren't handouts. They're tied to years of work, health issues, and personal struggles. For countless Americans, SSDI is the only thing preventing total financial collapse. Advocates called it a lifeline for older Americans, stressing that removing age protections would strip independence and stability from people who genuinely depend on these benefits. Many in Congress agreed. Now, here's where things really shift, and this caught even longtime disability advocates off guard. In mid November, a meeting took place at the White House. Disability attorney Jason Turkish and a group of advocates met with senior officials. They shared real stories, including one about a former coal miner named Christopher Tyner, who lost his leg in a work accident and would have been at risk under the new rule. And something completely unexpected happened during the meeting. Russell Vort, the same person who had strongly supported this change, said outright, "This isn't going to be happening." He reversed course right there. People in the room described it as almost unbelievable. 1. White House staffer had read Tina's story beforehand, and the reality of the human cost really hit them. That single story changed the trajectory of the entire proposal. Soon after, Social Security Commissioner Frank Bisineno quietly confirmed the rule would not move forward. He told advocates that the SSA and the White House were fully aligned and that the plan was being dropped. But there was no big announcement, no press conference, no public statement. Technically, the rule still appears in the Federal Register with a publication date, but multiple insiders have confirmed it's essentially dead. So, what does this mean for you? First, older workers with disabilities won't face new, harsher evaluation standards. That fear of waking up to find the rules changed beneath you, that's off the table. Losing SSDI doesn't just mean losing a monthly check, it means losing early Medicare access. That's crucial for people who need surgeries, treatments, or medication they couldn't otherwise afford. Without Medicare, many would be forced to start early retirement just to get health care, which permanently lowers their Social Security income for life. The areas that would have been hit hardest, West Virginia, Kentucky, Mississippi, Arkansas, and other rural regions, are places where physical labor is common and health issues start earlier. Ironically, these areas are home to many Trump supporters who rely on these benefits. Internal polling from a pro-Trump group showed that his own voters strongly oppose the rule. So, stepping away from the plan also prevents backlash within his base. Now, let's look ahead because I know many of you are wondering what happens next. The SSA still plans to modernize its job database, which is badly needed. They've spent years and huge amounts of money building a new system, and both political parties support updating outdated listings. But disability groups insist that age must remain part of the evaluation system because treating a 58-year-old like a 22-year-old simply doesn't reflect reality. Your body changes. Your capacity changes. Someone who has spent 35 years lifting heavy equipment cannot magically switch to a desk job overnight. Commissioner Bisinano has also emphasized reducing the massive backlog. As of late 2025, roughly 867,000 disability claims were waiting for decisions, and people were stuck for more than 200 days on average just to get an answer. That's more than half a year in complete uncertainty. The agency wants to focus on fixing that instead of restricting benefits. Advocates say this moment proves how critical personal stories are in shaping policy. One story shared at the right time stopped a proposal that could have changed hundreds of thousands of lives. It's a reminder that Social Security and disability policy in general isn't a partisan issue. These programs touch nearly every family in America, and sometimes empathy truly shifts decisions. So where does this leave us? For now, the rule is gone. People will keep the age-based protections that have always been part of disability evaluations. Advocates feel relieved, but they're staying alert. SSA still plans to update outdated job data, but the goal is to do it without harming people. There's even talk that Commissioner Bonanno may hold a public town hall to rebuild trust with the disability community, a step many believe would help with transparency. This whole situation shows how delicate the system really is. It reminds us that understanding how these rules work helps you protect yourself when changes start appearing, and it proves that raising your voice matters. This reversal didn't happen quietly because someone changed their mind. It happened because ordinary people, lawmakers, disability attorneys, advocates, and everyday Americans spoke up and the system listened. If this helped you understand the issue more clearly, take a second to hit like and subscribe. It really keeps this community going. And feel free to share this with someone who might need it today. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you.